Hello everybody, it is I, Bonecanoe86, otherwise known as Suddenplant, otherwise known as Bonecanoe the Magnificent, the great High Emperor of the Babylonian Empire and minor outlying territories. And I am here today to celebrate 1,500 subscriptions by answering your questions. You might recall, a couple weeks ago, I asked you to give me questions, and you did, a lot of them. So, I'm going to answer your questions now. Hopefully this will be very entertaining and or educational. Might give you some insight into something or another. Or it might just be some, good background sound while you play your game and you listen to this in the background. Or, you might be an insomniac and need a soothing voice like mine to bring you to sleep. But in any case, we are going to begin this. We have a lot of questions. I have 6 whole pages of questions here at size 16 font on Word. So, and I apologize, I just copied the questions. I don't know who wrote these questions, so that's kind of to be unbiased towards people. So, if you recognize your question, that's great. But anyway, here we go. First question. How was your childhood, and what was your job? Well, now that's a pretty involved question to ask, how was your childhood? Because that pretty much is a period of anywhere from 12 to 20 years of your life, however you measure childhood. So, yeah, how can you really describe all that? I mean, some of it was good, some of it wasn't good. There were bad days, there were good days. But overall, it was pretty fun, I guess. I did a lot of things as a kid. It was when I started being real creative as a kid. I was a very creative kid, also a very hyper kid. I was sort of hard to control. I'm sure my parents were pulling their hair out over me because I would just run off and act crazy, and I would never run out of energy. I mean, to this day I never run out of energy, but it was even more extreme when I was young. Now, being a person who is 24 right now, born in 1986, I most associate the 90s with my childhood. So, for me, the 90s is the most nostalgic decade. For many of you, it might still be the 80s, and for yet more of you, you'll eventually become nostalgic for this last decade, the zeros or the knots or whatever. But we're getting kind of off subject here. The other question was, what is my job? Well, I might have mentioned it in a video before, but I work for a company called Wawa. Wawa, that's actually the name of the company. It's a chain of convenience stores that's only found in 5 eastern United States. And it's basically just a convenience store with a gas station and a deli. We make people hoagies, we get them soups, we sell them cigarettes, and we sell them gas, and all the other odds and ends you'd find in a convenience store. It's pretty fun. It's not a bad job. Alright, what's next? What was my first game? Well, I assume you're talking about video games, because I'm sure my first game was something like that. But my first video game was, believe it or not, the first video game I ever played was Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Now this is an interesting story I might go into in more detail later on at a different time. But I first played Sonic 2 in the spring of 1993 when I was 7 years old. And I had no concept of what a video game even was. I wasn't even sure what I was supposed to be doing. But it only took a few weeks before I became completely hooked on this game, and I became really good at it, and that sort of kicked everything off with Sonic 2. Now, that was 18 years ago now. Probably before some of you were born. Feels weird to say that still, but you know, it's true. Anyway, when you get your new computer, how do you transfer all the Lincoln families onto the new computer? Well, you have to realize that in The Sims, each family, each household is a file, and each neighborhood is a file. And what I plan to do is just copy the file for the entire neighborhood, copy it from my old computer onto my new computer, and presto, we would have the same neighborhood with all the same families, including our main Lincoln family and their descendants, and all the side characters, all intact, but it would be on a new computer with much better graphics. And hopefully that will go smoothly and without any problems. I can't guarantee that, of course, but hopefully it will. Alright. Do you have any political opinions? And if so, what are they? Oh, my computer is going into standby mode. Well, yes, I do have political opinions. I think that 99% of everyone has at least some kind of political opinion. And what are they? Sort of like the childhood question, that's a very broad question. You know, it would take me hours to describe, you know, the intricate variances and everything of, you know, political thought that goes on in my mind. Now, keep in mind, I am a very politically, you know, aware person. I watch the news and I know what's going on. And, you know, if I was to be as general as I can about politics, I am left of center. You know, left-wing, liberal, progressive, whatever you would call it. That would be how I would be described in the most general terms. However, if you take more specific issues, I have a lot of nuanced views. Like, some views I have would be considered like extreme far left, whereas other views would be considered moderate or even conservative by some people. So, I mean, if you want to know anything in particular, you'd have to ask a more specific question, but that's a good starting point. Alright. Anyway, if you could get any animal, what would you get, and what would it be its name? Answer! I better answer that question. He said answer in all caps. If I could get any animal, I would get a dog, because dogs are my favorite animal. I am a dog lover, and it's kind of ironic because when I was a little kid, I used to have a dog phobia. I was scared of dogs. But I grew out of that in my early teens because my friend had a dog called Cosmo, a black lab, and he was just very friendly. He'd play with us, he'd swim in the pool with us, and I'd throw tennis balls to him, and he'd bring him back. So, a lot of good memories of this dog Cosmo, and that is what sort of made me into a dog lover. Sadly, he died back in 2004, but, you know, other dogs have been in my life. Most recently, my friend Mike's dog, Moxie, who you've seen if you've watched other Suddenplant videos. What kind of dog I would get, I'm not sure. Probably not a huge dog, but not like a toy dog either. Like a medium-sized dog. You know, like a Moxie-sized dog, or maybe a tad bit bigger. Somewhere in that range. As for names, I'm really awful at names. I'd probably, you know, ask for names on the Suddenplant show or something, if that was to happen. So, I don't really know. Alright. Will Sue eventually build her own house, or will her part of the generation live in the exact same house for many, 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 many generations? Well, I do plan to have Sue make the Lincoln Manor her home. You know, probably for her whole life. You know, maybe not entirely, but for the foreseeable future, the Lincoln Manor is where Sue will make her home. I always want to have one branch, you know, however long I play this family, I want to have one branch of the Lincoln family always be living in the Lincoln Manor. I always want some descendant of Mike and Laura to have control of that mansion and to preserve it as like the central location for the family. So most likely Sue will be there in the foreseeable future. Have you heard of or played Minecraft? Well, I've heard of it. I haven't played it. I don't even really know what it is at all. Like, I see videos of it. I've seen a couple videos of it. I've seen pictures of it. I don't know what it is, Maybe I'd enjoy it. A lot of people say I will, but I'll have to look into it in more detail, because right now I really don't know what it is, to be honest. Can you get The Sims 3, please? There we go. I knew that The Sims 3 would enter into this somehow, because people are always asking me to play The Sims 3 and everything like that. Well, once I get my new computer, I might get it. Maybe. I'm on the fence about it. You'll just have to keep nagging me all the time on updates. Please leave me 100 comments in every video I ever make, especially videos that are not Sims related, asking me about The Sims 3. Please, just do it. Okay? Anyway, warning, this question is slightly perverted. Ooh, we're getting into the fun zone here. Have you ever watched pornography? And if you could have any superpower from invisibility, mind control, telekinesis, telepathy, super strength, and super speed, what would you choose? Well, the first question about have I watched pornography? Well, first of all, I don't think that question is really that perverted. I mean, it's not asking me, can you please describe in lurid detail your favorite sex position? I mean, it's not. I mean, honestly, I don't even consider that perverted, but, I'm a pretty open guy about things. So to me, that question is maybe, like, it barely registers on the, the radar of what is perverted. But anyway, to be honest, yes, I've watched pornography at points. I think 95 to 99% of everyone has. It's not something I'm ashamed to admit. I would say I watch probably far less than the average guy my age, though. I don't really, it doesn't make up a huge, portion of what I do. And, if anyone says they have never watched porn or they don't look at pornographic pictures once in a while, they are probably lying to you. Just saying. As for the other part of the question, I have a list of superpowers I can choose from. Invisibility, that'd be kind of cool, but I'm already kind of good at blending in and not being noticed, so that wouldn't be too much of a thing. Mind control. I like the idea of mind control, but I like the subtle art of manipulation a lot better. When you gradually work on a person over time to bend their mind around your will. Telekinesis. That would be pretty awesome. Like, if somebody pisses me off, I could just go like, wah, and like, throw stuff at him, or throw stuff against the wall, like, I am angry, feel my wrath, wah. So that's winning so far. Telepathy, to transmit thoughts to people's minds. I don't know, you can already kind of do that with, body language. You can read what people are thinking or feeling, and you can express it to them without words. So, we kind of already have that. Super strength. Like, what was that character? Oh, there's a lot of characters with super strength out there. Superman. Oh, obviously. Super strength. That would be good. Although I'm a pretty strong guy as it is. I probably wouldn't need it. And super speed. The famous Sonic the Hedgehog's ability. I'd have to go with, out of all those, telekinesis. That would be my choice. So, that way, if I wanted to, have a pizza or something, I'd just be like, pizza, ooh, into the oven, shoo, turn the knob, click, and there we go. The pizza has put itself in the oven. Alright, anyway. What is your PC spec? Well, my PC has a memory size of small, it has a running speed of slow, and it has an age of old. All kidding aside though, I don't know the exact specs of my ancient laptop, but I do know that it only has 40 gigabytes of hard drive space. So you have to really realize that, you know, as somebody who makes videos by the hundreds, that's really hard to deal with because I have to really, I can only have a couple videos on my computer at this one time because they're often a gigabyte or more per video, and when I only have 40 gigabytes for everything on my computer, I can only have like 2 or 3 at a time, and then I have to edit them and get them out and then delete the original footage. I try to back up the videos because I do have an external hard drive that's 250 gigabytes, but I only save the final products, which are in the 50 to 100 megabyte range. And anything that's direct from Cam Studio to online or direct from the Flip online, those aren't backed up just because they're too big. Windows Movie Maker compresses things into a much smaller format, which is very useful. It reduces the quality a little bit, but you know, overall it doesn't make too much of a difference. What are your plans for a new LP? Or what are your plans for new LPs when you get a new computer and new games? Maybe Civilization 4 or Europa Universalis 3 or something else? Well, I will tell you, Europa Universalis 3 really has my attention. I really want to play this game, and I really want to LP it too if I find that I can become good at a game. I don't want to LP a game I'm bad at, you know. I mean, I kind of suck at Super Mario, but at least I'm not like really bad. So I just want, you know, if I can become baseline competent at Europa Universalis 3, I'd love to LP it. As for Civ 4, maybe I might do it, or something else. Well, sure, you know, there's, if you consider every other game in the world besides those two as something else, then yeah, I'll probably do something else at some point. Alright. My goodness. We are only 1/6 of the way through and we've already gone almost 20 minutes. Oh boy, this is gonna be a long night. Good thing I have my water here. Why am I thinking about chocolate? Chocolate. Yeah. Oh, and what was I talking about? Once you get your new computer, what are all the games you plan on getting, and what games will you be looking forward to when they come out? Well, that's similar to the other question. I'm definitely going to get Europa Universalis 3. I'd love to get, you know, some of the newer Civ games just to try them out to see if I like them. You know, Civ 4 seems to have an enduring quality about it, so I think I'll get that. As far as other games, well, you'll just have to wait and see. I'll leave that as a little bit of suspense. Have you ever heard of Joseph E. Stalin? If so, what do you think of him? Yes, I've heard of him, and I think he's great. He is one of my favorite LPers on YouTube. Well, not really on YouTube anymore. He's launching his own website. For those of you who don't know, Joseph E. Stalin is a guy who LPs a lot of strategy games, as well as, you know, shooter games and games of every variety. He's extremely awesome, and I recommend all of you, if you don't already watch him, to watch him. I consider him one of my 3 LP role models, along with Raukau and Sir Ron Lionheart. Excuse me. So, yes, I definitely like him a lot. Do you have any plans to play The Sims 3? Well, I seem to recall saying in my question video that I didn't really want to have too many repeats, so let's go to the next question. Will you do a Let's Play of Sims 3? That would be awesome. Okay, surely the next question would have some variety. A Let's Play of Sims 3 or Minecraft? Delicious. Wait, what was I doing? Oh, answering questions. That's right. How often do you think you'll be live streaming? Well, I don't know. It's kind of hard to find a time when people who want to watch can watch. And when I did my last live streamings over the holidays, I had an audience of, 10 to 15 people. Which is cool. It's a nice group. Most of them were House of Sim members. If you don't know what the House of Sim is, it's my forum, and you really should all join because it's a lot of fun. But yeah, I want more people to to come on board for my live streams, and I also want to have better quality for live streams than I had because I was playing Civilization 3. I would have epic crashes that would last like sometimes up to half an hour. It was really bad, and even when the game was going on, you couldn't really see exactly what was going on. You couldn't see what units were attacking who and that kind of stuff. It was just really, it was fun, but it could be a lot better. So, I might live stream once or twice before I get my new computer, but mainly wait until I get my new computer for the main live streaming. What genres of games do you like besides simulation? Well, this is a question that I've answered before, I think, on the forum, but for those of you who aren't visitors of the forum, which I assume is probably most of you, I like platformer games, like I said, Sonic the Hedgehog, Super Mario World, games of that nature. And, I like a wide variety of games. I've played everything from Grand Theft Auto to, other shooters and, puzzle games to, wide open sandbox games. I dabble in every genre of games, but besides simulation, it's platformers that have always been my other main area of gaming. Have I really been going on for 25 minutes? Well, I wanted to make this one long, unedited video, but I'm kind of afraid of the video files will just be too large for YouTube or my Flip to handle, so I'm going to cut it off here. This is the end of part 1, but I'm continuing in part 2. If part 1 is the only thing you see, hang tight, it's still uploading, it's going to take hours. So, stay tuned for part 2, everybody.